Hey there, welcome back to Borscht 3D. I'm Kurt, and today we're going to have a different kind of vlog project video. So I'm down in my shop, and today we're going to make a bookshelf. It's a very simple, just MDF shelf with brackets and a bit of a routed edge. That's it. So it's not really that informative to watch, so I'm not going to make a voiced over project video about it. Instead, I thought I would make a vlog making kind of video, because I've been having a lot of things on my mind recently, and I think it would be a good thing to share them with you while I make this. I don't know how it's going to turn out. It's going to be a very, not poorly edited, but it's going to be a less edited version of what I usually do. And I'm not going to mind all the noises that are coming from the street. We've got scouts opposite the road, on the opposite side of the road. They're making a lot of noise. We've got construction work is going on, cars going by all the time.
I cannot give out the passwords.
And my watch speaking randomly to me. So let's start off with the project. Uh, so I'm smiling for a very simple reason. If you've watched any of my videos, you would know that I am terrified of the table saw. It's unplugged now, that's fine. I'm terrified of the table saw. And one simple reason for that was that I felt it was a bit too jittery, too powerful, too uncontrollable. But I just swapped out the blade, which was an ordeal. Mind you, I couldn't get it out for a good half an hour. Anyway, I managed to change the blade. I replaced it with the exact same 40 teeth. I changed it and it cut it perfectly. It's really smooth. It cuts it very well. So this was an advice I should have taken a long time ago. And it was, if you've got a new table saw or any kind of new equipment that uses a circular saw, change it out. The factory ones are inadequate. Now, that being said, my table saw doesn't take 50 more than 52 centimeters depth cut. I had a cross-cut jig. It wasn't very good, so I scrapped it. I want to make a new one sometime soon. I might actually make it one with MDF. So that's one way to do it, but I'm going to cut it with the circular saw. I'm going to cut the 55 over here, which gives me enough clearance to cut it properly and without problem. Circular saw is pretty accurate, so let's start with that. Let's take a bit of a break from the project, because we've been going on for so long. I love working in the garage. I love coming down here and working, woodworking. I love leatherworking, 3D printing and tinkering and making stuff. I love making stuff, which is why I think I'm a maker. But I find it very difficult to get started. It's like I have a high level of inertia, which in the physics sense, it's logical. I mean, objects are at rest, want to stay at rest, and moving objects want to keep moving. So it's not unheard of in the laws of physics, but I find it's very strange in human nature. I guess it's not that rare, to be honest, but I feel like it's very difficult for me to get up from my computer, close World of Warcraft, and come and work on something. Likewise, I find it very difficult for me to stop working in the shop over here and go do actual chores that I have to do, like taking care of my stuff. Or, for example, today on a Saturday, go to Scouts. And I love going to Scouts. I love doing all the other stuff that I do in my life. I love doing everything in my life. I find it difficult to do that transition. However, with particular emphasis, it is on making stuff. I find most difficult to get started on making. I guess because it's one of those things where I don't have to do it. I don't have to wake up in the morning, come in my shop and make something. I don't have to. My life doesn't depend on it. I'm not going to starve if I don't come and make a shelf in my wood shop. But I think there's a reason beyond that. I don't think it's just that it's because I don't have to. Recently, I've been having a good, hard look at myself and the way I think, the way I process my life, the way I process all my tasks. And there was a video in particular recently by Jeremy Schmidt. I have a link to him down in the description, where he was dealing with some things in his life. I won't get into it, it's his thing. But it made me realize that everyone's human, everyone's dealing with their own things. And I guess maybe I'm lucky enough that this is the only thing I have to deal with. Recently, I've been given as a birthday gift Every Tool is a Hammer by Adam Savage, which is why I'm making the shelf, in fact, for that to go on it. And he says that he was happy with being, well, in the very starting pages of the book, he said that starting out as a maker, doing some other things, he was happy with becoming mediocre on it and then learning something else, something to that effect. And that got me thinking. I think one of the things that I fear most while making is, I think, being mediocre. So, right, there are so many makers on YouTube nowadays. The internet is giving us a good opportunity to just upload what we want, to show everyone what we want, to learn, to share, to, show the world that I am Kurt and I make this. That there are so many out there, and it's very, very daunting to a certain effect. Why? Because I would love to have this making stuff as my full-time job, of course. It's my hobby. Why wouldn't I? But to get there, I feel like I have to be not the best, but excellently good at what I do. And what I would be doing would be, making videos, the editing, the presentation of the video, and the projects themselves. So I need to be good at it. And I feel that I don't deserve that kind of status yet. And that's fine. I'm comfortable with that. Because obviously I'm still learning. I learn every day. I learn with every new project. So while I get really inspired by a lot of people out there, there are some in particular, of course, that I almost idolize. That it also works in reverse sometimes. And it's not their fault. It's completely a fault on my end. It's very easy for me to watch a video that someone else makes and be inspired by their skill, be inspired by their motivation, be inspired by their message, but also get a bit demotivated because I feel like I'm not there yet. And it's very difficult to say that, I'm not there yet. It's very difficult for me to admit it because by nature I'm a very proud person. I have to have the last word. I'm sometimes insufferable because of that. I look personal growth. But I'm also generally a very positive person. So for me to feel this kind of negativity is a bit strange. Like having the feeling that how will I ever get there? I'll get there one day. I'm confident that I will. And there's a very, very valid reason, I think, for me to say this now, when I don't have all that. When I don't have all this, recognition. And I want to say it now, and I want to upload it now, because I am very confident that eventually I will make it up there. Because I think starting out as a YouTube maker, or starting out as a maker in general, or a video maker on YouTube, everyone always say, I never thought I'd get there, but no one ever shows you actually what it was like to, to be a person who uploads videos and not get 100 views on them. It's very discouraging. It's demotivational. It is very difficult to stomach after you spend a weekend working in the workshop and a whole Saturday and Sunday editing videos instead of going out, having fun, staying with your family, and then you don't get the recognition. And it's frustrating. Yes, it is. But I'm saying this now so that when I look back, when I get 1,000 subscribers, when I get consistently good numbers on views, I will be able to point someone else and show them, look, that is what it was like. It gets better. So, I mean, I'm not a prophet, I can't read the future. I really hope that I do get where I want to get. And I'm making a promise to myself that I will. But I'm not there yet. I have to keep on working harder, and I have to keep on learning. I have to keep making better products and better videos. And yeah, I guess we're all here at one point or another. Back to the shelf. So, let's not get too serious about it now. So I cut the shelf on the table saw. I have a very nice clean edge on both long edges. Got a nice clean edge on one side. This is the edge of the MDF sheet that I had bought ages ago for the prop wall. Check out that video. And however, I needed to cut this side on with a circular saw, which came a bit rough and jagged, and it's not nice at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp this. I'm going to clamp this to the table. I'm going to use a nice straight edge on this side, and I'm going to route out a smooth edge. I realized I just made a mistake. I routed all four corners of this shelf, or four edges, I should say. The problem is that one of them is going to go up against the wardrobe, so it really doesn't make sense to have it routed. So probably what I'm going to do is just cut it off on the table saw, now that I have a good one. I think I can still get away with it. So with the shelf, basically what I did was I routed the edges, rounded them over, realized that the round over that I was going to use was too small, so I swapped out for the larger one. I mistakenly routed all four edges, had to cut on one of the long sides so that it will go against the wardrobe. I actually used the table saw as should and managed to put the 24 centimeter on the side of the fence. So that's good. Now I sprayed it and it's drying. And while it's drying, let's have another chat. Not everything is negative, of course. Having the ability to be a small YouTuber and making stuff, it puts you in a very, in a very good position to actually learn. And the best thing you can do when you're starting out in making is, unless you know exactly what you want to make, is to do a lot of different things so that you can start to understand what you like doing. For example, I never knew that I would love leatherworking so much, or 3D printing for that matter. Leatherworking, on the other hand, it's a completely different craft. Yesterday, I met an old colleague of mine, and he was quite, he mentioned that he loves following my 3D prints on Instagram and stuff like that, and that's very cool. But sort of when I told him that I'm delving into leatherworking, he told me that's a completely different area, and that is true. And it made me realize that it is completely true for making. Making is a lot of different areas. It can be programming, it can be woodworking, it could be leatherworking, it could be sewing, it could be poetry. You're creating something, therefore you're making. Thing is, I'm starting getting very comfortable using leather and leatherworking, so that's really cool, and I'm happy with that. I'm very, very happy with that. But I'm also realizing how much I don't know about the material, about the craft. For example, recently I made this. This is Jocko's amazing maker knife. It's sleek, it's sexy, it's good, it's brilliant, and I love it. But it came with a clip, and I didn't care for the clip, so I removed it. But the thing is this: I used to keep it in my, jeans small pocket over here where I have my Leatherman now. And I didn't want that because when I was at work, I had to take it out every time because it wasn't comfortable against my leg. But so that presented a problem where it was uncomfortable when sitting down at my desk. So I had to make a sleeve for it, which is something I promised Jocko I would do back in Maker Central in May. So I made this. It's made out of leather, it's hard, it's water formed, and when I made it, it was really, really snug. What I didn't realize was that with time it would come loose. And in fact now, it doesn't even hold the maker knife properly. It's the first prototype. I'm going to make more of them, and you can be sure that I'm going to document it and maybe share them with you. It works for now, because I never have to use it upside down, but you never know when you have to hang from a tree, for example, and You can't have your maker knife fall out. So there's always new stuff, new obstacles, and I think that brings me into the next point of prototyping. And I think that is one of the things that I love doing most. Well, next, one of the things I love doing. Prototyping is really cool because it shows you a unique insight into your thought process. When you start making out something, when you make prototype, number 1 or version 0, you have this idea in mind and you make it. Now, I am not necessarily a very creative person, so I try to stick with basic designs. In fact, this is rectangular piece with a flap that goes into my belt. So it's not very nice to look at, but it's very practical. So I wasn't going for aesthetics in this case, but showing it to people at work, it would be nice if it were aesthetic as well. It would be nice if it were, like, for example, the shape, the contour of the maker knife. So that's one thing, aesthetics. So revision 2 will have a better looking version. Revision 2 will also have a tighter fit, so that if I'm at Scouts and I'm hanging upside down from a tree or from a beam, I can rest. My mind would be at rest, knowing that my maker knife won't fall out and be lost or damaged. It's very unlikely that it will be damaged, but Secondly, that got me thinking about something else. I got my Leatherman, and again, I have an aversion to clips. I've got the Leatherman Sidekick. It's good enough for what I do. It's got knife, saw, pliers, cool stuff, everything. But now I have to hold this and keep this in my jeans side pocket. From prototyping, a holder for my maker knife, I came up with a better idea for this, for the Leatherman. Prototyping is a way to brainstorm as well. There's a very good way to there are several ways to prototype, and I find that some people brainstorm first. They come up with a very good concept, they do it, and maybe they don't have to do a lot of different iterations or revisions. But for me, I like the chaotic approach, where I just come in my workshop, make something, doesn't work as intended, could work better, and I improve upon it every time. I may make 5 or 6 or 7 different iterations, and that's, to me, it's really cool, because then I can have a look at all the different kinds of prototypes that I've made. Revision 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, until X is finally the best one that there is. And that, to me, is it shows like a history, a story behind the thing. And to me, having stories behind what I make is very important. Whether it's a prop that has its own story, whether it's a leather bracer that tells a story, or whether it's a shelf that has a story behind it, the making of, the purpose of it. I think it's very important, because if you just make things for the sake of making them, that's fine, nothing wrong with it. But to me, if they don't have a story behind them, I don't connect them. I don't enjoy making the project. And I've had that happen to me before. And I think I've learned it after several attempts at making something that I don't want to make, and that doesn't have a story, and I end up not enjoying it. So, yeah. Maybe if you have a bit of a problem connecting with your project, maybe try giving it a story. Think about why you're making it. Think about what purpose it will serve, and what would happen 10 years down the line if someone sees it and tells you, oh, that's cool, where did you get that? You can tell them, I made that, and you can tell them why you made it or how you made it. And for example, with this MDF shelf, I'm going to tell the story of how I made the prop wall and covered everywhere in MDF dust, and I swore never to work with MDF again, but yet here I am, working with MDF, because there's always a solution to everything. So, yeah. I'm just going to wait for the shelf to dry, and once that is done, I will put on the brackets, go fix it on the wardrobe, and we'll be done with this video.